Okay, welcome to the latest episode of 90 from the 90s. We're back after a few weeks off and let's go straight into it. So, Paul, we're picking 90 albums from the 90s that we love. And I think we've picked, 10 to 12 so far? Can't remember. But yeah, what's your latest pick for going into the 90?
I'm choosing 1990 Keep the Faith by Bon Jovi. This album for me was a bit of a slow burner, but it's just good because they changed their style to adapt with the times, and they all had their hair cut, but they still could rock, but there was maybe less heavy guitar maybe. So a lot of great singles, so many singles on it. The only thing I'd say, a couple of them are maybe a bit too long, maybe the downside of it. But that was the era, of course, when CDs was too much material on. So no, Keep the Faith, great album.
Yeah, I mean, I remember at the time, 'cause obviously I was a Bon Jovi fan, that I think the band were very much written off because they were seen as a product of the 80s. Obviously, huge success with Slippery When Wet in New Jersey, and obviously John Bon Jovi's solo with Blaze of Glory. And yeah, I think they were lumped in with a lot of the hair metal bands, but they were always smarter than that. And I think, especially with John Bon Jovi, I think his influences, not least, obviously, New Jersey and Bruce Springsteen, that kind of came to the fore on this album. So you're right, yeah, it's a lot of great singles from it, and yeah, it was a more rock and roll type feel to the album. There's almost Rolling Stones type stuff in there, and yeah, things were just stripped back a bit. A lot of the flash was kind of taken away, just to fit in with the current times, the trends at the time. Then they've done a great job at it, and if it wasn't for that album and the success they had on it, yeah, they wouldn't be going now, or they certainly wouldn't be have the same exposure as they do now. So yeah, it was actually a brave album in a lot of ways.
I think it's be seen as like a Poison or a Motley Crue type band. That's what it'd be seen as, whereas they move with the times.
Yeah, and you think about the first single, which was the title track, Keep the Faith. They hadn't done a song like that before. I think just the piano on it, the groove, the bass and such like. So it was very different for them at the time. So yeah, it paid off for them. Right, my choice, I'm going to go, and it's quite topical because, in fact, I've got it down here. We're sticking with rock, and it is Brigade by American rock band Heart, who really are predominantly sisters, Anne and Nancy Wilson, hailing from Seattle in the US. And yeah, they're a band who obviously first came to prominence in the 70s, more so in the US, I think, than anywhere else, and then kind of fell out of favour and then returned in the 80s, towards the mid 80s there, as a kind of more of a rock type band, and had embraced MTV and had a couple of really big albums, self-titled one, Bad Animals, and then Brigade, and had a number of significant hit singles, probably chiefly Alone, which I think was 1987 or 88. So anyway, I had, I think, both Bad Animals and the Heart album prior to getting this. I think it was my friend Brian who had Brigade before me, and I got a copy of him, and I eventually bought the CD. And it holds a lot of sentimental value to me, this particular album. When I think back to 1990s, early 1990s there, it's I do. This is one of those albums that I think of, and I think also because when we were in Jersey on holiday,
Yeah,
that was my first love, Debbie Donut, and this was the album I was listening to at the time, and she also owned this album, so I always just think back to that as well. But yeah, no, it's just a really good rock album. One of the things that's great about Heart is the melodies they have. and when both, I think for me, Ann Molson's my favourite female vocalist of all time. She has an incredible voice, but when she sings with her sister, the harmonies they create are incredible. And there's one song on here, I think it's what's it called again? Forgetting the name of it now. Yeah, Under the Sky. No, I Love You, and it's probably my favourite track on the album. But it's Under the Sky. The harmonies on that one are sensational. So yeah, I think this album was a bit more, had a harder edge than the previous two. But yeah, very melodic, great harmonies, and yeah, a lot of good memories tied up in it. So that's my nomination. No, it's a big hit single off it, and All I Want to Do Is Make Love to You. A great video as well. So yeah,
could do with a remaster.
Excellent album.
Could do with a remaster like the previous one to that as well. Bad Animals.
Yeah, that would be great. So yeah, there's my selection. So I'm going to need to come back very soon, Paul, to pick another two, and actually add up how many we've covered so far.
I know.